I'm going to show you exactly how I transformed my ugly old porch from this for less than $100 to this checkered timeless porch. Now there's a lot of different methods, so stick around and I'm going to show you what I tried that worked and didn't work. But I have this sidewalk that goes right up to my porch, and I wanted to paint that also so that we could use it. So I started out by power washing my concrete and just getting it nice and squeaky clean, which is so satisfying. But if you don't have a power washer, just use your hose. My concrete is fresh, it's ready, and I have my concrete paint that you can have matched. You can have that color matched. So this is porch and patio floor paint. I had it mixed to sleek white was the color I chose because that was what I painted inside my house. But man, I was questioning my life decisions right here because it's so white. Yeah, it was a little bit shocking, especially right off the bat. Mayla, of course, had to run right over my fresh paint. Little stinker. She actually was the hardest part of this whole project. Not really, but kind of. So I'm backing myself up and covering this whole porch. It covered really well. Like the patio paint covers really well. I was happy with that. I backed myself into a corner and had to go in through the house, but it was quick and it took me, I don't even know, half an hour probably. It wasn't very long at all. Then I grabbed this stencil. This is a 10x10 stencil from Home Depot, and I just wanted something that was square with perfect edges. Now, you will find out soon that this didn't actually work, but something I didn't think to try was a tile, so you could try using that too.
Hopefully it works. If not, I will update you on that, but this is kind of the way I'm gonna try it and see how it goes.
We were so much hope, but basically what I learned is that you need something that isn't going to budge, and this stencil was way too flimsy for that. So, lesson learned, don't go by that. I think I'm going to have to rip them all up and start over, since I'm finding that just having the stencil down and then taping around it works for a minute, but then if it's even a little bit off, the corners don't touch. And the corners touching is what makes it, you know, a crisp look. So all of those look good, and it's kind of hard to tell. It's just a little bit off on some of these. If it's not perfectly aligned, it's not gonna work. See how that line is like off a little bit, how the tape is over the stencil. I'm not sure why or how I did that, but if I do that here, imagine what it's gonna look like all the way down there. I started fresh, and when I originally started by my front door, I was realizing that my walls aren't straight. So I took a piece of string, rubbed some chalk along it, snapped it up and down, and got my chalk line. That gave me a perfectly straight line to start on, and after I made my squares going down the center, lining up those corners right on that line, that's when I grabbed my razor and started cutting out those corners, and it really started coming together then. And there's lots of different methods you can do for this project. This is just the one that I was able to wrap my brain around. Doing the taping can be a little more tedious, but to me it was easier in the long run because of the painting. Mayla walked all over my white porch with muddy feet. I'm telling you, she was a stinker during this whole thing. It was really hard to keep this white porch white, but I decided to do that as my base color just because it matched my sidewalk. So here I am showing you kind of the process. This is a real time. What I ended up doing was I took my stencil and I traced it out on a foam board and cut it to a perfect square. Now, that's not ideal. Again, like I said, something I didn't think about was using a square tile. However, my porch isn't very big, so I needed 10x10. I don't even know if they make square tiles that are 10x10. But something that was going to fit your porch, I didn't need very huge squares. I wanted kind of medium-sized squares. So that's where the 10x10 worked for me. I thought about doing the tracing method, which I'd seen before, where you trace around your template, whether that's a tile or in my case a foam square. But this is like what I said, what I just could wrap my mind around. I liked the taping because I knew that was going to save me time in the end when it comes to painting. I put those little pieces of tape on the inside, on the center of my squares that I knew were going to be painted. And this is kind of the design, if you'd go with this method, that you're going to want. You're going to want a big square and a little square. That little square where the tape is kind of on the inside of the square, is the square that's going to, how many times can we say square? That's the one that is going to be white or whatever your base color is of your porch. Then the bigger square, you're basically just taping out what is going to be painted, so that when you pull up all of your tape, you're going to be done right after that. So this is what it looks like, completely taped off, big square, little squares, ready to be painted. Took a while to get there, but totally worth it. I had some leftover black exterior paint. I didn't have any undertones, just straight black, and it went a long way. You don't need much. Okay, so I read to pull them up while it's wet, so that it doesn't pull off the paint. But what I'm finding, oh, look at that really horrible jagged line. I think my concrete is maybe more textured than I thought. So before I've painted the square, I've kind of pushed the tape down to make sure that the tape is on there really good. So far, that's my best square. But I'm gonna just have to go back with an angled brush and really hope that I can make it look smooth. But you want to see the good and the bad, right? You guys can learn from my mistakes. I'm not really sure what I would do differently, if I'm being honest. Like, I still obviously have the whole porch to go. That's maybe what I'll try next, is to not put so much paint on the roller so that it doesn't seep under. I'm liking it though. As crazy it is, I'm liking it. I just maybe need to change up my technique. Using less paint definitely helped, and my concrete is a little bit textured, so I went through and just pressed my tape down more into the floor, and that definitely helped. So trial and error, definitely learned from it, and from this view, can't even tell that there was a little bit of bleeding. Looks really good. It's one of the forgiving projects because it's just paint, and you can always go over it again. I learned that some of my tape would pull up some of the white paint, and instead of fixing that, I kind of just left it because it gave it some character, made it look like it's been here a while, which I know might sound dumb, but that's kind of the way I roll. I like things to not be completely perfect, and that works for me because I'm not a perfectionist. I kind of just wing things, and I think this is one that totally worked out in the end. It looks great and completely transformed this porch. I didn't use anything fancy for cleaning up the edges. I just had this straight edge paintbrush on hand, and it looks so much better. It's worth just going back and kind of cleaning up any edges that you need to. It's just paint, and it can always be fixed, but that's looking pretty good. For your top coat, you're going to use clear seal, which it says to just use one coat. Now, this is something I'm not quite sure on. I kind of wish I would have done more than one coat. It says to just use one, but I maybe would have gone back and done another one. It was a really weird painting experience because I opened this up and I thought I bought a color, but this is what it looks like. So when you brush it on, you're going to use a concrete roller, and it's meant for texture, and it has this kind of bubbly appearance on it, but that's just how it looks. So as you do your coat, it's going to kind of look white, and it helped for me to know where I was painting because it was all bubbly on the black. But it was really easy. It dried in 15 minutes. I thought it was going to take like a couple days to cure or something like that, but nope, it was really quick. And I would maybe experiment with doing another coat, but that allows you to just be able to clean it off and clean it and spray it off nicely. So, and that is it for this project. It looks so much better. It was totally worth it and not expensive, just a little time consuming, but thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow along for more, and we'll see you next time.